The Obsidian Talon was not a place for the faint-hearted. Nestled in the heart of the Draconid Quarter on Station Vex 7, the establishment catered exclusively to the galaxy's most feared warrior species, the dragons. These weren't the mythical creatures of Earth's ancient tales, but bipedal reptilian beings standing 9 feet tall, with scales that could deflect plasma fire and breath that could melt through starship hull plating. Jasmine wiped down the counter with practiced efficiency, her human frame dwarfed by the massive patrons surrounding her. She'd been working at the Obsidian Talon for 3 standard years now, ever since her colony ship had been stranded on Vex 7 due to engine failure. The pay was decent, and despite their fearsome reputation, the dragons treated her with a peculiar sort of respect, the kind reserved for those brave or foolish enough to serve them their traditional fire wine without flinching. "Another round, human," bellowed Krasnor, a scarred veteran whose left wing bore the marks of 100 battles. His voice resonated through the establishment like distant thunder. "Coming right up," Jasmine replied, her voice steady. She'd learned early on that dragons respected confidence. Show fear and you'd be dismissed as prey. Stand your ground and you became something interesting, a curiosity worth protecting. Tonight was special. Commander Harry Dracthel himself had chosen the Obsidian Talon for his victory celebration. The legendary warrior had just returned from the contested nebula, where his fleet had broken the Zythian blockade that had threatened 3 systems. Dragons from across the station had gathered to honor him, their roars of approval shaking the very foundations of the bar. Harry stood at the center of the room, his crimson scales gleaming under the amber lights. Unlike many of his kind, he wore minimal armor, a sign of supreme confidence. His amber eyes held the weight of countless battles, yet there was wisdom there too, the kind that came from understanding when not to fight. Jasmine moved through the crowd with practiced grace, balancing trays loaded with fire wine goblets and ember-roasted meats. She'd developed an almost sixth sense for navigating around dragon tails and wings, dodging instinctively as the warriors gestured enthusiastically while recounting battle stories. It was during one of these passes that she noticed it. A dragon she didn't recognize sat in the corner booth, his scales an unusual shade of deep blue, almost black. He nursed his drink slowly, too slowly, and his eyes never left Commander Harry. But it wasn't the typical admiration she'd grown accustomed to seeing. This was different, calculating, predatory in a way that had nothing to do with dragon nature and everything to do with intent. Jasmine's instincts, honed by years of reading human body language in her previous life as a psychology student, screamed warning. She'd learned that many nonverbal cues translated across species. The slight tension in his shoulders, the way his claws flexed rhythmically against the table, the position of his body, coiled like a spring ready to release. She caught the glint of something beneath his cloak, a shimmer that didn't match the rough fabric. Energy weapon her mind supplied instantly. Banned on Station Vex 7, especially during gatherings like this. The veteran dragons around Harry were relaxed, caught up in celebration. Their combat instincts, razor-sharp on the battlefield, had dulled in the warmth of victory and camaraderie. They'd let their guard down in what they considered safe territory. Jasmine's heart hammered in her chest. She had seconds, maybe less. The blue-scaled dragon's muscles tensed. His hand moved toward his cloak. Without thinking, Jasmine grabbed the nearest tray laden with full goblets of fire wine and launched herself forward. Her trajectory took her directly into Commander Harry's path, just as the blue-scaled assassin's hand emerged with a sleek plasma pistol. Time seemed to slow. The weapon discharged with a crackling hiss. The bolt of superheated plasma screamed through the air where Harry's head had been a moment before. Instead, it struck the tray Jasmine had thrust upward, the metal exploding into molten fragments as the energy dissipated harmlessly into the ceiling. The Obsidian Talon erupted into chaos. Jasmine hit the ground hard, Harry's massive form covering her protectively as veteran dragons launched themselves at the assassin. The blue-scaled attacker managed to fire twice more before Krasnor's claws ripped the weapon from his grip. And 3 more warriors pinned him to the floor with enough force to crack the reinforced plating. "Hold him for station security." Harry's voice cut through the commotion like a blade. Then, more gently, he lifted his bulk off Jasmine. "Are you injured, small one?" Jasmine coughed, winded but alive. "I'm fine. Your commandership, sir, just needed to deliver that tray urgently." A ripple of surprised laughter ran through the gathered dragons. Harry's amber eyes studied her with new intensity. You saw what my own warriors missed. Different perspective, Jasmine managed, accepting his offered claw and pulling herself upright. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We learned to read intent, to spot the predator hiding in plain sight. Your people evolved as apex predators. You're not used to being prey. Harry's lips pulled back in what Jasmine had learned to recognize as a dragon smile. All teeth, but warm nonetheless. Wisdom in small packages, he rumbled. He turned to address the room, his voice carrying authority that demanded silence. Let it be known that Jasmine of Earth has the protection of Clan Drakthal. Any who threaten her threaten me. The gathered dragons roared their approval, fists slamming against chests in the traditional salute of respect. Later, as station security hauled away the would-be assassin, a hired gun from the Zithian remnant seeking revenge, Jasmine found herself sitting across from Commander Harry at a quieter table. Why did you do it? Harry asked, his tone genuinely curious. We are not your people. You owe us nothing. Jasmine considered the question while pouring them both fresh drinks. Maybe that's exactly why, she said finally. Humans have a saying. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. You and your warriors fight to protect innocence across the galaxy. Tonight I had the chance to protect you. Seemed like the right thing to do. Harry studied her for a long moment, then raised his goblet. To humans, he said. Small in stature but vast in courage. To dragons, Jasmine replied, clinking her glass against his. Who remember to appreciate that courage. Around them, the obsidian talon slowly returned to its celebration, but something had changed. The human waitress who moved among them was no longer just a curiosity. She was one of them, a warrior in her own right, who'd proven that sometimes the greatest threats are spotted not by those trained to fight, but by those trained to observe, and in the vast, dangerous galaxy that made all the difference.